interviews must have gone a rise in the meanwhile. So yeah, welcome. We are really glad that you are coming here, and you are also the mentor for Hackbout. So you have been, helping Hack Club NMIT community from couple of maybe months, you say, because we are pretty new. Like we started in October somewhere in 2019. So yeah, if you would like to introduce yourself, just for 2 minutes, and to all the participants, that will be great. Then we can start.
I hate this part, like actually, like, yeah. I'm Pranjal. I'm currently a software developer at Headout. Uh, Currently like diving bit into infrastructure and mostly work on backend. I have been working on a lot of technologies in the past and have handful experience in a lot of them. Uh, been like did GSoC twice. Had some experience there. Um, yeah, I was involved with open source for a while, not involved as much as then now. But yeah, no my fair share of things. That's it.
Okay, sounds great actually. Two-time GSoC, it's not very, easy task. Or we don't really found anyone like who are like in the two-time GSoC, and like I don't really know anyone else except you. So yeah, it's great having you over here. If Sagar, can you? Okay, the audio is too low. Can you raise the volume a bit? Okay, okay, sure. Manish will
Mine
try to. Is it mine or Pranjal's?
could be mine. Can
But
you
uh,
let
but
me
you
know
are you are pretty audible to me currently.
how
Okay,
about now?
Pranjal. Okay, Pranjal. Is it
How
okay
about
now?
now? Hello, mic
Actually,
test.
yeah, it's audible now. It's better actually.
Cool.
Okay. Saga, can you share the screen? Okay. Meanwhile, Saga, share you the screen. So I had a couple of my own questions, which I
Mm-hmm.
generally, I always wanted to ask you. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the question is like, have you been involved in any kind of hack when you were in your college time, like in triple ITA when you were there? Because I have known you for since our school days. So you were involved those days with the exposed modules and cyanogen modes and those gravity box things, and to the way to the level like where you are working right now. You have involved with deep learning, RPA, and whatnot. So have you been involved in any kind of hack in into your server room and any kind of stuff which you might have got in problem at that time, but now because you have a degree from a triple idea, they won't charge you or something? Or have you done something like that?
Done. No, yeah. I was a co-pilot to something of that sort, but never did per se anything by myself, like completely. Uh, but yeah, we did get basically I shouldn't take credit for it. Like, and I was just like there as a co-pilot, so I was there. Uh, really didn't do anything by myself per se. So we hacked into our college library server, and so there was this process like we had to again go. So we took some of the books. Probably I took books for only in the first year of my college from library, and so it was like in the semester books you can take from library, and then you had to get the subscription renewed after every like 15 days or so. You have to go to the library again, and then have to reissue the book, that kind of process. And
Yeah, that's
if
a
you
pain.
and obviously as the lazy kids as we were in college already, uh, it was like it was a pain to go to the library and go to the whole process again. There was the one librarian, and usually like since there were like people who used to study a lot more, there was a huge line, like, and you had to like kind of, you don't want to do that process, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. So and also yeah, there were late charges. So at times we used to forget, like, we take any book. Because like generally it was like we took the book and then it was lying there on our table and we never really read it, and forgot to return it as well. So there was huge charge piling up on that. So yeah, just hack into that. So like we could we could renew the subscription at any point of time, and the charges were not really applicable per se.
Yeah, those.
So yeah, we did that a couple of times. did some other things which I think would be inappropriate to tell as of now. But yeah, did my fair share of things around, college servers, because like they really haven't upgraded them in a long while. Like they just made it when someone made it, and they are just maintaining it because like it just works and that's good enough for them. But there are tons of security loopholes around, if you see.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds great. Like even for our, like it was earlier 1 rupee, and then it became to 2 rupees of day, and yeah, it doesn't sound very much, but when you like it gets stacked up for 3 months or something, and like when you go over there,
Yeah,
like okay, how was the bill? One
I
thousand
mean, bro,
seventy two please.
that doesn't matter for broke kids when people are in college,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
So yeah, so actually I think most of the people have joined. So actually that was my kind of question that I always wanted to ask you.
Mhm.
What we were gonna plan to do is like we have couple of questions like which has been sent by the students only. But if someone over here like who just want to ask a question, like just raise your hand or put a message in the group chat. Okay, I wanna ask a question next. We'll unmute you and you can ask for the question. Okay, does it work? So yeah, just raise your hand. Like one of our core member will gonna reach up to you, and they will gonna just will unmute you. Or you can ask your question. Okay. So is there anyone who wants to go first, or otherwise like we can read out the questions that we already have. Okay. Someone said after reading the questions we'll have doubts, then we'll ask. Okay. Someone just asked like, are you BTech in which field? I think it was self-explanatory.
It's information technology.
Yeah.
More or less, like we don't have computer science in triple IIT-A, so that's the like the main computer science course there, information technology. More or less, I think curriculum doesn't really matter much between these two fields, but yeah, if you really want to know the stream, it was information technology.
Okay. There's one guy. I'll just unmute him. Uh, yeah, man. I don't like UI. This UI. Okay. Yeah. KD, I've unmuted you. You can ask your question.
Hi, Pranjal.
Hi.
Yeah, I wanted to know, can you tell us about your GSoC experience, how you prepared for it, and how did it go for you?
Yeah, I guess that was also the first question in the slides as well, right?
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, in any case, yeah, I was anyways gonna
Well,
answer that.
yeah, that's right.
So yeah, so the point was the GSA experiences are pretty great because like you know at this thing there's this thing like generally you have a mentor and you develop this really great culture of working remotely because like um, I'm not sure if it's like obviously it has become a thing now that everyone is already remote, uh, but if, the thing has been going on. Like a lot of companies are remote right now. Everyone, almost everyone is remote because they have no other option per se. You learn this very good thing so that you can work asynchronously with your mentor. So you are it's quite a different scenario. um, like um, it's very different from getting your actual internship like in which is like in place, or you have to go to like let's say a office to do an internship. Obviously both are different experiences, both are good and bad in their own terms, but this whole GSoC experience makes you a bit more prepared for this remote first culture where so in office, like whenever you have a mistake you can simply rush to the best the mentor you have. Like most probably you will have a mentor which is almost everyone will be senior like in your team, so you can rush to whoever is your mentor or someone in your field who can answer your queries better at the same time. So that also builds up some discussion. But when you're working remotely, generally like times vary a lot, and you probably haven't interacted with people as much. You should, but you probably haven't, right? So what it develops a thing in your you, so that you know how to search for things and find solutions by yourself. Like you really simply cannot rush to someone and say like, I am facing this issue and like I'm not sure how to solve it. Like you have to go through the documentations of things, go to like how are things implemented deep down, so that you can figure out like how to do stuff that you're supposed to do, instead of like obviously there are mentors which you can discuss within stipulated time, but often like that's a time lag that you don't want to waste your time in. So if you are waiting for next time you will be able to interact with your mentor, because there are different time zones and issues like that, and probably in all these time zones, like in GSoC projects there will be time zone issues. So yeah, so that's a great opportunity, because like how to do it yourself. Like you are not really dependent on people. So you obviously, office culture is better in some terms, in the sense that you can build up that thing where you can raise good points with your peers and learn a lot from them in a short stipulated time. But learning by yourself and applying that knowledge to your projects, I guess GSoC is one of the good ways that teaches you. Because like what happens generally with me, like when I'm doing my personal projects, you almost get the similar experience that you have to figure out things by yourself, but the motivation sometimes drops when you're doing the personal projects. Here it's kind of bound to you that you have to do this particular thing in a stipulated time. So yeah, this whole thing helps you build a lot of context for things. Okay, so that was the experience part. I wanted to clear that first, so that like you know like what you are expecting when you are going for such a remote internship. Not just GSoC, there are tons of programs like which have this remote thing as of now, like multiple different times of summer of course, different projects which sponsor if you are not, when they're not selected in GSoC. So GSoC is not limited. Any type of remote internship experience per se, where you don't have very dedicated mentors which are highly available to you, right? This is the whole scenario that basically you will experience, and you will the kind of knowledge you can gain from that. Okay, now welcome to the part where how to prepare for it. So preparation is pretty easy. So I think uh, but it's not pretty easy, but it's not that hard per se. You will need to dedicate some time, obviously. Like you're still a student, you need to be pretty clear, like uh, what you are interested to work in, and you need to uh, broaden your things. So you cannot just simply be like, "Ki, probably I just want to work in a Android project. I've learned Android development, saving like making this much time to it, and I'll probably look for an Android project in GSoC, and if I get it, it's good. Otherwise, I'm good on my own. It's fine." But more or less, I think a generalist approach is better when you are looking something like GSoC per se. You should not aim for a certain set of projects. Obviously, if you get them and you're really planning to build a career on them, it's great. But you should really keep an open mind, like what kind of projects you want to deviate your mind to, and like so just simply go through the previous year's projects, find like what kind of broad things people have worked on. A lot of things probably you haven't even seen during your college time. You have just assumed things to be working that way, but when you actually see the projects, you see, okay, this feature was built by this guy. Like I'm using these features, and you don't even realize that this feature was built by a probably a college student of your age, and that really excites you, because like you can be the next such guy, and who's building some things who people might use in coming time frame, right? So that's another level of motivation that pushes you to do that thing. Also, there are monetary concerns, clearly, right? We cannot rule them apart. But yeah, there are a lot of motivation. So yeah, so preparing for GSoC is mostly about going through the last year's project, keeping an open mind to like what kind of projects I want to contribute to, and like I'm willing to take part in. Uh, and so basically, if you are an Android developer, probably explore some other bits of like development using some, let's say you can try out Rust, Go, whatever is hot in town. Just try your hands on it. See if you like it a bit or not. See, and also second thing is like don't do things superficially. A lot of times people just run this Android sample project and like just be cool with it, and like sometimes do some bits of things on it and then feel like they are um, they know a lot of it. So as the Dunning-Kruger effect, if you have heard of it, it's like when you know a little about something, you feel like you are expert, and then as you learn more about such a thing, you tend to doubt your knowledge of such a subject, right? So when you know a little about something, you sometimes try to feel like, okay, I know a lot about it and I'm prepared for something. So don't be a victim of that. Just question your intelligence every time you are working on something, and find points where you can prove that okay, you know things that you think you do know, right? So just broaden your intelligence, find out things, try out multiple different projects, just quickly go through the old GSoC website, find what of things people have worked on, find what interests you, maybe that organization. Let's say I find VLC player interesting to me, right? I just have been using that software from very long time, from my childhood, and I really want to make a difference to that software. Just see, there are a lot of ideas on their website, like what all improvements can be done to them, and you can do all this, and find those and find good mentors on in that website, in that organizations, which can help you guys. So preparing, first of all, this is the crucial step where where you have your head clear, like you want to do it and you have an open mind how like you want to do it. Next, you can like simply go to the organization. There will be links to the IRC channels, or basically IRC or some kind of chat platform where the developers of that project usually communicate. There could also be, in worst case scenario, Google groups, where basically conversations are based on emails, right? So that kind of thing can also be there. So yeah, you can interact with any of those platforms, send a cold email to any of the developers. These projects are very encouraging. They really want you to contribute. Sometimes people are feeling like, okay, am I good enough to contribute to this? Don't have that fear in your mind. If you won't be good enough, you can become good enough, because all other people are also college students, right? You just need to, maybe if worst case scenario, you can wait for one more year, and that time you can use to increase your intelligence in that bit, so that you can focus on it better than ever before, right? Because you are better version of yourself after 1 year, if you clearly think about it. And then you will be more eligible and more confident when you are applying to something. So yeah, so that thing is there, right? So once you figure out the chat channel, you can send a cold email, or basically a cold message there, saying like, basically I am this and this, I find this project interesting, I want to work on it. They will guide you to good first issues. So if you look into that, wherever the code they have hosted, they have good first issues labeled. So they will point you to one of these directions, or some contributors guide for first time contributors. They will guide you to that. Just without this knowledge in mind, like with this stress in mind that I have to go to GSoC, start contributing, right? Some bits, you obviously won't be contributing as much as you would contribute during the GSoC period. Contribute slowly. Don't think it as a competition, like I will only get in when if I do this good enough. But yeah, that builds a good base when you are applying and making a proposal. So when you have like good time, when you have done this thing, whenever the list of organizations will come out, and you're fortunate enough that your organization is still there, because the organization list keeps on changing. So yeah, that's where keeping your set prospect, basically spectrum broad about the things you want to work on, helps. Because like whenever your organization is not there, you can simply go to any other organization and see what kind of projects they have, because you still have some projects in open source. So something is better than nothing. To the guy, let's say there's a guy who has done nothing, but he was waiting for the organizations to come up and then was trying to contribute to them. You can still crack GSoC. It's not a big deal to do it post then, but it's still a better chance when you are contributing to some organization, not necessarily be the same that you are applying for. before GSoC, so that you have experience how to work with these organizations, because you're a first timer to these such things, right? So that experience definitely helps. Once that is achieved, find a good organization, find a good project ideas that they have, write a good proposal. There are a lot pretty good articles which tell you how to write a good GSoC proposal. I think if I try to explain it in this, it will become too long AMA session. I guess I've already spent too much time on this question itself. Yeah, per se. See, there's a good enough templates for that. You just follow them, see what your organization requires, make a good proposal. If you do all these steps with an open mind and accept this possibility that I might not get selected, and there are still better things to do in that period, right? Yeah, that's good enough, right? I think you could not have done better than this. Like, this is the best you could do. And if you get selected, well and good. If you don't be like, apply next year. Like, that's not the end of the world per se. Like, this is the best you could actually do to get selected, and most people do get selected by doing just this.
Oh, thanks, Pranjal. Like, it was a very detailed, detailed explanation of GSoC. Yeah, actually, I've always been, very keen about to ask you about the GSoC and how was your experience. So one thing that you always told me, like, just don't go for the org that you wanna, like, just don't go for the GSoC part. Like, start contributing from month of September or October or somewhere around that.
Yeah,
and on the whenever
the org better. Sometimes
yeah,
the org can be too tedious to work with. Like, that the practices that are followed within the org, so the org look good enough from the if you look from far, like, org looks very good, but there are internal politics and things involved in the organization. So basically they have their, I'm not blaming a particular org, but there are cases where there are favoritisms and such practices in. I think Google has done a good job this time in filtering out the orgs which are there. But yeah, there are political issues within the organizations per se. So if you contribute first, these things better than if you start contributing late. People who have already been contributing. A lot of people in that organization. You can simply have a casual talk with them remotely, and get to know things better than if you contribute, because like, it can also be a frustrating experience to be a GSoC, if I speak openly, if you don't have a good organizations, because at times the organizations are not that great. You might look good from far, but internally it doesn't have as good a structure or as good a learning experience for you as you could have achieved in a better organization. So if you contribute first, these things better than if you could start contributing late. Obviously,
yeah.
you cannot help if the organization gets picked out entirely and you have to pick up new organization. Then you have very less time to figure those things out. But yeah, if there's a good chance that you could have done it before, why not do it, right?
Yeah, it sounds great. Yeah, actually, even I felt like the things that you told about the politics part, like, but eventually 95% of the organizations are pretty good and they really help you out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Most
so
organizations are good.
yeah,
There can be some organizations which are bad,
so
in
yeah,
the sense, not really bad. Actually, speaking, I think all people actually grow from the GSoC. Like, even if you have a bad organization, I don't really think the growth part is very limited there. You still can grow a lot, but you can grow a bit better if you have better organization, and can have better opportunities coming forward after the GSoC per se, right?
Sure. I think Abhishek has one more question. Abhishek, if you can go with the question.
Hi, Pranjal. So when you talk about contributing to open source, so let's say I want to work under the organization X. So I have to contribute to repositories of organization X only, or I can contribute in general also.
Not it's not required to contribute in X. So let's you can see like what works for best for you. For example, if your organization is working on a project which use particular technology, right? If you have a good experience building on that technology, or building things that that are used as a dependency of that technology. For example, let's say there's an organization that uses Node.js. I'm just having a very broad thing, right? And you are actually a core contributor to that project and you understand it well, the Node.js project. have been a contributor or built a good enough number of projects or good packages which demonstrate your skill in that thing, then it won't be required that you really are contributing to the X organization which uses Node.js per se, because you already have that thing to demonstrate to, right? But at certain times, you generally, a lot of students don't have things to demonstrate. So in that case, start good within the organization. So you have a good repo within the organization. People know you, and people know you for your work within the organization. So that's kind of better because obviously what matters more is like if you if you have a good repo with your mentors and people within the organization, it can help your proposal be highlighted a bit more because you have a good background in contributing to the organization. So it's not required, but it's slightly more preferable to have candidates which have already worked with the organization. Sometimes not even in the same technology. You could have worked with a different technology in this organization, but since you have contributed to that before, and people just understand that you are really a good peer to work with, that can help you basically that can help a bit than contributing to some other organization. Not required, but better. Yeah, that's the answer.
Okay. Yeah. So I think Anirudh is next. Like he raised his hand. He wanted to ask one question. Anirudh, you can go next. Anirudh. Yeah, you can unmute yourself and you can ask a question. No, you are not audible yet. Okay, so Anirudh having some problem with his mic. So I think Shayan you can go next. Shayan, you can unmute yourself and go next.
Good morning, sir. Pranjal sir. Hey, good morning. Good evening, Pranjal sir. I had to ask you basically, like, I'm a beginner in coding. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I was asking, like, I'm a beginner in coding. So as you said that while you are doing GSoC or you are working with a company, like there are people to mentor you in your queries. So as a beginner in programming, when I don't have a mentor, sort of, suppose if I'm learning any skill, and usually when we start coding, like I was there in competitive coding, so we face a lot of queries. So how to resolve them basically when you are not getting anything on Google, or sort of basically there's no solution to things, I find many a times.
See, if you are finding that you don't have a solution to things, like what kind of problems are you exactly facing that you are not finding solution with? Are these like competitive programming problems you're not finding solutions of, or like general like tech problems when you're working in projects, those kind of issues? Like what exactly?
Like I'm learning things, means in the sense, suppose if I start with React, I was starting with React, then in the initial stages I was downloading the software, means the npm softwares, while I was installing, so they were not getting installed. Then I spoke to like Anurag brother, and he helped me with it. Means there was things were a bit problematic, means my system was not working when I was running the npm install command. Files were particularly not loading.
Yeah, so for that, like I generally have this advice, like the most good projects are maintained, right? So you won't really have a problem installing them, but you could have issues if you are working with the non-standard development environment. So per se, like most developers in this world as of now use macOS or Linux as their primary development environment. So if you're using Windows, you could have issues because there are standard set of ways that people work with these with Windows platform. Which, so I'm not criticizing Windows for being a bad environment, but just that you won't find as good a documentation, and the issues which are coming up to you are not a part of the tool. Basically, they haven't they have tested the tooling well with the platform, but since there are not a lot of active developers using things certain way, so you could face issues with them. So before starting with these things, there are certain things which you should be clear about. You should be clear about how to deal with your command line, right? If you are not a good command line guy, I think you could face a lot of issues. And so there are good courses which learn you how to use your command line properly and what all these things mean. So you should definitely take such a medium course. I think it could it's only 20, maybe 10-20 videos kind of thing, and there are good sort of tutorials on YouTube for this thing. You should know your command line well, like what are you working with and how is your file system working and things like that. Once you have those things clear, I think, and if you're using so if you're starting with something and you know that you could have such issues with your environment, better use an environment which everyone uses for now, so that you are more you have more people to answer your queries, or per se you can look for help online very easily. So if you look for how to install npm on Ubuntu on thing, it's very easy to do such a thing, and you could find a lot of better resources per se when you're doing with Windows, because you could have a lot of file system issues, things like that. I'm not sure what exactly were you facing, but generally things are much easier, the developer tooling on Linux or Mac OS than Windows in a lot of senses. You could work with Windows very well, but once you have that clarity in your mind, like what are you dealing with then, what is the difference, what you have in a DOS based operating system that has evolved from that, which has a different kind of way it deals with paths, files, executables, than a standard which a lot of developers use, like Linux and Mac OS, which has a Unix-like way of dealing with things. So yeah, the issues arrive mostly due to that. So use standard developer environment, learn about that thing. Maybe if you are really hesitant, I think you should not be. First of all, you should definitely have a Linux in your machine when you are a student, at least. Maybe you can do a boot. Worst case scenario, have a VM, learn things on that, and then so at least you know, have basics things clear when you are dealing with a standard environment. Then you can as you grow and learn more things, you can switch your development environment to something else when you have more clarity on like how to deal with issues by yourself. Most of the time when you're using a standard development environment, you would be able to find help online using Stack Overflow. One skill which you would need is how to frame questions correctly for Google, and that skill won't come by someone else guiding you. You need to use Google a lot of times to ask questions. Then you will understand like how to exactly frame your developer questions, how to exactly put keywords. I think most of the developers will agree to this point. Like a lot of development is just Googling the right thing. If you Google it right, you would probably be able to find the correct solution which someone has explored before, was into that problem, because a lot of problems which you're facing are not entirely new. Some of them could be, but a lot of them are just repeat problems, and you could find solution to them on Stack Overflow or GitHub issues. You should know how to search properly and deal with it. That thing won't come by me explaining or doing a session of how to search for things. As you learn more and more things, you will be able to refine your searches better. And so if a senior developer will be able to search for things better than the developer who is probably just starting now, because he has a fair share of experiences, like what are things. And I'm not searching which is very vague for vague as a keyword, right? If you put right keywords, you will probably get the right answer on the internet. That's a fact. Some problems are entirely new for them. Like I think you won't face them as now. If you really do, you can use GitHub issues or Stack Overflow questions to put them and get the right answers for those. So
yeah, Pranjal, totally agrees. Yeah, totally agrees to that. Actually, what I felt like this is the age where the questions matters. Like you should be asking the right questions, because eventually the Google will gonna give you out the right answer. So yeah,
yes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you deep dive into stuff, like you will be able to get your answers to your questions. Like people are always there out there.
And also, like if you are feeling like you are completely clueless, just consider your local mentors a bit more than the global mentors. So local mentors, just have them like ask them advice, like how they did it. I guess they both, or everyone will have different experiences, but more or less towards the same line, that they eventually got better as they started doing more and more things. So just deep dive, like start small, like go into the rabbit hole. Eventually you will come out as a better person. When you see down the line, you will see like your queries, which were like very ill framed, some like, let's say 3-4 months ago, are now better framed than that, and you're able to find your solutions easier than before. And these things progress as you go in the timeline. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
Pranjal, it totally makes sense. Like even just for Shayan, like you are pretty new to the club, like as we all know, like you can take help from the members and all over there. Like people are good with one stack and mean stack over there that you are trying to achieve. So you can anytime take a help from there. So I think
Yeah.
next is Anirudh. Anirudh, you wanna unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yeah, hello, is my mic working now?
Yeah, it's working.
Yep.
So, hello Pranjal, I am Anirudh. So, my question is like, you have gone to GSoC and have seen so many projects, right? Like
Mhm.
different flavors. So, have you seen any project based on like waste management or the pollution control thing?
Uh,
Okay.
See, per se, you are a bit misguided here. Like, I mean, not misguided per se. Uh, you are working towards a good cause. That these are good causes. But what one should ideally look GSoC for is not, work towards the cause. Like, you can definitely work towards cause when you're working with a startup or things like that. When you're passionate about things, and you can definitely do that. But personally, I would say explore GSoC as a medium to enhance your developer knowledge, so that when you are working towards a course, you are better equipped to do so, right? So if you are looking at GSoC to find projects which are working towards such a such thing or such thing, and I'll contribute to a project which does waste management, I think that's a wrong direction to pursue it, because like you probably won't, if even if you find a project, I think at this time you could find a project. I won't rule out the possibility, but contributing to it just because it solves that cause isn't that. Probably people who are solving it better are uh, organizations, like there could be good startups which are finding innovative solutions to that, and for working with them you need to have a good repo built within you, or you could you know try out solutions by yourself. You can make your own solutions. You could be an entrepreneur at some point of time and make solutions, but you should have a developer knowledge enough to make solutions, right? The knowledge you will be able to grasp when you have a good environment working with people, and working with people is what GSoC will get you. So if you have a very set of I think I'm pretty clear about this, but if you have very narrow objective of finding projects that deal with waste management or some environmental concerns, you probably, first of all, you probably won't find project. You could, I'm not ruling out the possibility, you could, but a good chance that you might not find what you are looking for. uh, Even if you do find, they generally they belong to not very great organizations. So you could probably know a bit more things about waste management, but you probably won't know as much good things about how to find good solutions to things. So that's not a direction I would guide you towards, to find projects based on the cause. Causes are great, you should work towards them, but not when you're doing a remote internship experience, where your sole purpose should be to gain developer experience and work with people, so that you can whenever you're working towards cause, then you can apply that knowledge. Not right now.
Okay, Pranjal, actually,
Okay, yeah.
yeah,
So,
thank you, Anirudh. You wanna?
I have one more question.
Okay, sure.
Mhm.
So, is it mandatory to have a GitHub connection? Like, is there any other way to contribute to open source without using GitHub?
What is
Just
the
a,
problem in GitHub per se? I don't
no, I
per
know
se.
GitHub very well. Just my one friend asked, is it mandatory to do only through GitHub, or is there any way?
So not GitHub per se. A lot of organizations at this time, so you need to contribute source, and to need to contribute source, you need to use some kind of version control, which every organization uses. Git is the most popular. You need to be familiar with Git. That goes without saying. But there could be organizations which are using some other version control. I don't really think they are mainstream as of now. Very few. That shouldn't also be a choice. Git knowledge is a must per se. GitHub is not mandatory because organization could be use something like GitLab or Bitbucket or some sort of other tooling, some other Git, basically online Git hosting platforms, which are more or less similar to GitHub. So I don't get the question. Like that was like a bit ill-framed per se, I'll say, because if you are working for code, like you're contributing code, because like GitHub is mostly about contributing code. If you want to contribute to docs, there is season of docs. There are other things. If you are going into GSoC and not contributing code, then the whole purpose is void, because it's Google Summer of Code. You need to do code there, right? And if you are dealing with code, you need to contribute to something which is GitHub or like GitHub. So if you can do without GitHub, most likely no. Like something like GitHub. If you can do without a Git hosting platform, most likely no. Without GitHub, yes, because there are other GitHub-like platform per se. So I think that answers your question.
Yeah. So yeah, Anirudh,
thanks.
like you can even frame it like this, like if you want to upload a video and you don't want to upload it on YouTube because you want to create your own platform and upload it over there, you won't get that level of insights, right? Because everyone is doing it over YouTube. So the thing is, like
Yep.
there are certain, like most of the open source things that are people are doing. Okay, it's not just GitHub, like Gitbucket and Bitbucket. I'm not sure the names.
Bitbucket,
There are, yeah,
GitLab, there are other
Bitbucket,
platforms.
GitLab, and all. But yeah, most of the people, if someone is accumulating over here and it's a good platform to do the
Yes.
code and contribute, collaborate. So yeah, people trying to do that, and it's a good, you should be aware of version control as well, I guess. It's a very,
Actually, I
like,
didn't think of that way, like uploading my own video in a different way. So I didn't think of that way. Now I got it. Thanks.
sure,
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah, Pranjal, actually, one more thing, I think people are members don't have the correct idea about it. So regarding the last question, I got it, like they asked for a project like which they have seen in their life according to the hackathons, because in India, like currently the hackathon culture is at boom. Even we had our own. So yeah, in hackathon, yeah, so what people
Mhm.
are doing like this, okay, they go for, it's a mindset. Okay, there are certain kind of problems that people try to solve in hackathons, like just say
Mhm.
this garbage management, or water management, or irrigation, yes, stuff like that. Even the government
Mhm.
hackathons do all that, though SIH is
Yeah,
changing a
yeah.
little. So yeah, so what people wanted to even I wanted to ask you, like, if you can tell us about the the kind of projects that GSoC has, like the kind of project that you have done, like on the Xi-Editor, or on the FOSSASIA, so that people get a good idea, like what kind of projects are there, or like so that they have a clear mindset towards the projects.
Cool, cool, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll take some examples. So yeah, for example, I get your point completely. Like what you are probably dealing with in GSoC or something like that is quite different from what other people like what people make
Yeah.
in hackathons. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people are working towards causes in hackathons,
Yeah.
which actually I find not a very great thing, because at times when you're working towards a cause in a hackathon, making some product solution,
They are not
there are
scalable.
good chances. I think 99% of the projects get abandoned just after the hackathon.
Mhm.
And I think that's not a great way to do hackathons. But that's for another time. But yeah, so about the projects, which kind of projects which are in GSoC, there are a lot of open software that you currently are using or might use in future. For example, your known software, like the Ubuntu, like you basically, if you have worked, if you're using Linux distribution, maybe Ubuntu right now, there are good chances that you're using GNOME or KDE as a your desktop environment, right? So those projects like are one of the biggest projects which have been coming to GSoC for quite a while. So there's this desktop environment which needs to compete with its competitors. The competitors are macOS and Windows, which have a dedicated team to work on them, right? They have a set of uh, people who are paid to work on refining macOS and Windows, and there is this other set of people who are making this. They're obviously getting some contributions or fundraisers to contribute the development, but there's not one single entity which is guiding like how are things supposed to It's most like a consensus based thing. So a lot of software, I'm just telling you like what kind of software you are probably using right now, which could have come from projects which were there on GitHub. So a lot of times there are this software which you are using or people are using or could use in some other time, which are there. They are not projects which are changing, you know, things very rapidly. Most are concentrated towards what developers use or general public uses, uh, but it's not change. It's not towards the cause. It's just towards the productivity or a set of experience that you are a difference that you are making when people are dealing with their day-to-day things. So those projects are like a bit more popular than cause-related projects per se. So you could find like things like VLC is there, right? Norm is there, KD is there. These are like good projects which have been coming to GSoC frontline. Then Mozilla comes to GSoC. Like you can contribute to Rust, Firefox, those kind of things. So Rust is a language up and coming. It's a language that people use for systems programming, right? You can contribute to the language itself. You can contribute to the browser that people know and love, Firefox, and directly with GSoC. Like a good example, like how to contribute, basically something which you can contribute and it makes a difference. The projects that I was working on was in FOSSASIA. So we were making something called as a SUSI, which was a more or less open source competitor to closed source Siri and Google Assistant back in the time then when people were actually these things were new, and they take a lot of your data, and you want to invest in an open source solution for dealing with such things. It was honestly not a lot of big, but I was trying to hack a solution so that we can run it easily on a Raspberry Pi and interact with it headlessly using a wake word. Like since you can have let's say you can have a smart speaker for which you can it's like Google Home or Google Home Mini, which you can directly say on Alexa, hey Google, hey Alexa, and then say a command, and it responds to that. You want to emulate such behavior, but you want to make something ground up which is open source from the start, and people can add actions to it later on. Open source model around such a thing. So we were trying to hack that. I was trying to make a solution of a dedicated smart speaker using a Raspberry Pi as a base. So yeah, got a lot of great learning there. So as you see, it's not a great cause per se. It was just another thing that already exists, but maybe an open source version that people might want to use who are more privacy conscious, right? So just around that. Even if it's not used, you can get a lot of experience just by making that product and iterating over it, and getting inspirations from things that are already present. So for example, I did not know a single thing like how are wake words dealt with, what are the current libraries that people are using to make wake words and things like that. But as I explored my project a bit more, I searched a lot of things. There was a broad spectrum of things I had to look so that I could make the right thing for that thing. So yeah, just that search and that motivation that you have to complete the thing in time, and that makes you search more and more things and explore more, which you could probably scale your time doing other things like playing games and all. They're good use of your time, but you can also find good uses just by exploring things like what all cool things are happening around the world. And this is a great way of doing things, right? So first, that was my first project. Second project was somewhere around it was a editor which can deal with, so if you see editors, when they deal with large files, they get stuck, right? When you, let's say, load a 1 GB 2 GB file on VS Code, you see hiccups because the way it is built. So they were the organization Xi-Editor, they were building a editor from ground up which can deal with those complications which all existing editors had, by dealing with it in a different way. So which is something of a different data structure called as rope, and there are operations that you can perform on rope to do text manipulation, which doesn't require as much time as you do in a normal strict buffer or things which other editors use. Obviously you won't encounter the use case a lot of time, but that's a good research project nonetheless, so that you can know the limits, and probably if this goes in a good direction, it could become mainstream. People, completely skip doing editors the normal way and only use this as uh, a building block of building their editors at a later point of time. So it was a good research project nonetheless. I was making something else for that. Like, I wasn't involved in the core project. I was making some plugins. But as even if you're involved in any way, you get to know things, what discussions are happening, how are things being dealt with. You read more about the project, you learn more, and you grow more as you do such things. So yeah, these are the projects that I worked with. Kinda could get you some idea, like what kind of projects you could expect. They're not towards causes, but could turn into a cause, cause later on. Like, let's say, for example, if that editor gets famous, right? If it's good enough implementation, at a certain point in time, you could see editors which are only based on such paradigm. You are one of the key persons who were at that time when the change was happening, right? So that kind of is a cause per se, but you won't find such causes like environmental causes or such things. Great to build things for them, but probably don't expect such things in GSoC. More towards a software solution for a problem that is a developer centric or a general people centric, and not towards the cause that people care about a lot.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, thanks, Pranjal. Like, actually, yeah, both the projects sounded very nice. And if you like, you said like they might not be for the cause, or they might become one cause. So if you consider developers as a society member, so these things
Yep.
eventually gonna help them in the in the long run.
Yeah,
So
society doesn't just grow by
yeah,
just doesn't just grow by when you are dealing. Obviously you should care for your care for these causes. I'm
the
not against
essential
causes
causes.
per se.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
essential ones.
yeah, yeah, essential ones. But in a long run, when even your small code can make a difference at a certain point, because evolution happens in a lot of different ways. Like things that people know as of now, they probably did not know some years ago, and you cannot simply credit some particular things for that. A lot of code also went into that, and like the computer science knowledge that people have right now, the things that making strides as of now, they were not mainstream as of now, but someone had that idea, then it went mainstream. Those kind of things happen all the time. So yeah, you are a part of that process. You are making a difference, even if you're not feeling you are. You
So
could
what,
make a difference.
yeah, so what I get from all this, whatever you said, is like even if you are creating some tools for a developer, or even if you are creating something,
Mhm.
some kind of library, but eventually when you're gonna create that library, and if in the future like someone came up with the idea to solve that particular essential cause, and he's using your
Mhm.
library, and it's making their work easy.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Then it's making a lot of
yeah,
difference for him,
yeah, it's
right?
making their
Because
work.
he doesn't
Yeah,
have to do 10 different things to do something which your library does in like one single step.
yeah.
So, anyways, like, so building for causes is an entirely different practice than building something else. But yeah, you get the idea. Like, the essential building blocks can be built from the things that you're building right now. So,
Exactly. If you are building some application on Python, like if someone has not created Python, how would have how would you have done the application process of
exactly.
for essential causes? Yeah, so it totally
Yeah,
makes sense.
that's what
So
I'm.
you are the building. In GSoC, you mostly create the building blocks over there, like your major applications restaurant. Okay.
Mhm.
I think another next is Pratik. Pratik wants to ask a question. Okay, Pratik. I think Pratik is left. Is not there. Sagar, you can
Hello,
go. Yeah,
yeah,
Pratik.
I
Okay,
am there.
Pratik is here. Pratik is here. Okay. Yeah, Pratik, you can ask your question.
Yeah, so hello Pranjal. I'm a stack
Yeah.
developer and I'm a frequent open source contributor. So I
Okay.
have two questions
Great to know
actually.
that.
Yeah. So what are the evaluation phases done by the organization? This is my first question, and second one is that as I have joined their mailing list and their group chat as well, so I
Mm-hmm.
saw that there are some contributors who are actually contributing before me in the
Mm-hmm.
project. So
Mm-hmm.
they have like they are waiting for their chance to get selected in GSoC, because only one guy can selected in one summer, right? So how do I
Yeah, I mean, not one
stand
guy. It
myself?
depends on like the number of slots that the organization gets per se. But yeah, I get your point. Like, there is a competition, like, and
Yeah,
especially
first.
right now in India, it has. I mean, GSoC used to be that thing, like, which can get you a good developer experience. Uh, but right now, it's more of a competition. Like, people are really rushing it towards like, this is one more medal that I can get on my sleeve, which can help me get a better job. People are looking at towards like that, and that's why, like, so it was great until there were like a lot of Indian developers who are just looking at project as like a medal of honor that they can wear on their sleeve, and then probably abandon the project that they were working with, or basically, yeah. So things like that, they are a lot more common. There could be other reasons that you abandon the project, that the project was not actively developing after that, or per se, you did not find that interest. You after working on the project, you realize that your interest doesn't rely in that thing. But if you're just doing for the medal of honor, yeah, there are a lot of people like that. So the competition is very stiff right now per se. So even if you are like genuinely interested, and there's a guy who's just doing for the medal of honor or money reasons, you probably don't have an edge. The edge is not about like your motivation. It's just about how better you know things, right? So those kind of things are always there. So the evaluation process, the organization mentors would never know like what's your actual intention behind GSoC is. Do you plan to continue your long term, or just planning to do GSoC and quit contributing after, or things like that? Maybe not even motivate people to do other things. There are people, there are such scenarios, so that can happen. The point being, the competition is stiff as of now. So due to the stiff competition, what has resulted in like people are finding it hard to get selected, and the number of slots are also reducing, because there are not a lot of quality contestants that were there in the past. So there were organizations that had a lot of intake in GSoC, probably in the last summer. They did not get a slot this time, and things were like that. So yeah, so competition, the slots are getting reduced. There are things, unpredictable things that can happen. But what you could do best from your end, first of all, don't fret that someone else is contributing. Okay, wait, can I hold up for like 5 minutes?
Yeah,
I'll just return.
sure, no problem. Okay, so meanwhile, I can, actually, Pranjal helped me out a lot with GSoC. Again, the slots are, decreasing day by day. So one problem that I felt is like in my case, the another person that was, competing for my slot was a like, because it's GSoC is available for all the students. It's not necessarily for only the BTech students will be there, or the undergrads will be there. It will be there. The chances are, the MTech and PhD guys could be there also. So, sometimes you end up, competing against them, but it's kind of rare. Yeah, Pranjal, you can continue.
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, good point there, Anurag. Like the students, like anyone is a student, anywhere from an undergrad student to a PhD student, right? The PhD student could have done a lot of things in computer science which you have not even like read about yet, right? He probably has a lot more knowledge than you, but a lot of people who are actually contributing most probably would be undergrad, unless you are going for a project which are like very research oriented, and PhD student is a better candidate for that kind of GSoC than you, right? That's another thing. The point is key, how to differentiate yourself from the crowd. The fact goes about how good your interaction is. So the time, if you're feeling just like because they started contributing before you, they have a better chance against you, uh, is somewhat true, but not entirely. Like they have a better chance because like they have more like context of the organization, but it's not really hard to build up that context. So once you have that context, you can really contribute better than them, improvise yourself, maybe dedicate some more time, learn a bit more about things. So it's not really competition. but say you can also look for other organizations. Just contribute for the sake of it. Like don't really feel like, if I don't get selected, or this guy has a better chance over me, so why waste my effort on here. uh, Obviously you should evaluate all your options. If you have an organization which has similar other organizations which have similar work, and those can you can get similar experience, and you have a better chance there, or you have an open mind, and you are feeling like I can work for in either of these of technologies, or uh, you know uh, basically I want to just increase my developer knowledge, so I want to work on either of these projects, and this seems like a better, clear path towards making such a uh, basically, because no one else is contributing as much, and I can make a better, more uh, basically that it's easier for me to get here. You can do those things, but if you have such option that you have a very limited set of organizations and people are already contributing, your contributions, if done at a better time, and if you are doing it in a good manner, that latecomer effect won't come into picture. You can still do good progress within that organization. So yeah, but still, there, if you and that guy who has been working before are at parity, and most probably, if you are at parity, then the guy might be favored, because that he had been contributing so slightly more time. So then it was not never your fault, right? So don't be afraid of that point. But yeah, you can make a difference even if you join late. So don't consider that as a hard fact that obviously there's some other guy who's working on the same project, because the projects will also change by the next year. For example, the next year projects are not even released yet. You when you're contributing to that organization, uh, and you're also increasing development knowledge by working on somewhere else or doing something else, it could actually turn out that when the actual list of projects are announced, you have a uh, better grasp of things, um, which can solve that certain project better than the guy who had been contributing before, right? So don't so that's not an entirely deciding factor. The earlier you start, obviously the earlier you start is better, because you still have those people who are coming even late. uh, but yeah, that shouldn't be the frightening point for you. That's all I really want to say.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. I think Sagar wants to ask questions. Sagar, you can go and
Yep.
ask. Yeah.
Yeah, hi Pranjal. Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So my question is, so generally, like when you get when you go into the tech sector, you have to like make network, like you have to make connections and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
So is like how would you do that effectively, and like would like social media or like say like a website called like LinkedIn would it be necessary, or like could you make connections like using other platforms
Yeah.
and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of connection that I have personally are more informal than formal. So LinkedIn more likely has become a place where there are a lot of formal connections which you interact with a few times, and you know uh, it's more of a thing that you don't really interact with people as much when you start. So how I built my network was like, as I start contributing. So there were people who were already contributing within my college, so I got in touch with them, so had a network with them, right? And then I started contributing, so I got introduced to a few more people. I had casual conversations with them over chat. Then I had conversations like not just coding conversations, like just general casual conversations with them,
Yeah.
and was a good enough friend. Then I had joined a few meetups and things. For example, uh, your college, particularly NMIT, is based in Bangalore, where there are a lot of meetups happening. You could probably go there and actually meet people who you are interacting online as of now. Because like there could be a guy who contributed to that project before. Now he's working for a startup or some job in Bangalore. He attends meetups or something. You can simply go and you can simply ask that if you are coming for this meetup, if it's what is common cause. For example, there's a React meetup. the project that you are planning to work with uses React. There's a React meetup happening. The guy might join. You can, if you have a casual conversation with him, you can casually ask, okay, I'm coming here. Can you come? Then when you will come, you will interact with him. He will introduce you to his peers. That's the way to build your network. And once you are, so if you have a good enough network, I think a lot of things get easy. You are easily getting referrals. You have a better better reputation within your community. You know people. Like how to find people. If you are later on making some product by yourself, you know which people might be interested in working with you, because they know you personally from a lot of different sources or things like that. So yeah, so things which help you build network is like, if you contribute online, just have casual conversation with also people really don't keep, when this thing is really great with open source, like people are doing it for the fun of it, like they are not really planning to uh, you know there could be people in India which are doing this for the GSoC money or things like that, but a lot of people are just this is fun for them, like this is their hobby. They want to code just not to get a high paying job or things like that. They just enjoy writing code. So when you have a casual conversation with such people, you understand a wide spectrum of things, and you don't feel like basically uh, you will never find yourself in a circumstance where you're finding people who really don't want to talk to you. You could obviously find people who want to keep their personal space, right? Could very well be, but in general, I found people to be very open. They have casual conversations, and you can if you interact with them physically also, uh, outside of that online bubble, uh, yeah, you can get introduced to a lot more people, interact with them later on, and build your network, and so on and so forth. LinkedIn is not a great place to build network, I will say, because a lot of network that you have on LinkedIn is mostly superficial. A lot of LinkedIn is superficial per se, what I feel like. So
Yeah, I feel it has no value. Like people just send like those connections are meaningless basically.
Yeah, they
In a
are
broader
more or less
sense.
meaningless. They could have a value then when people actually interact with you and ask for maybe if they have a good enough rapport, they can ask for a referral, those kind of things. It's very limited to a very professional corporate setting. Even like startups don't really look a lot at your LinkedIn profile. Probably a GitHub profile is much better suited for you know professional social, like the the core social network than LinkedIn per se, because like it's very clumsy as of now, I'll say.
Is it worth like creating like a good LinkedIn profile or like
Yeah, it's worth, because at any point of time, like it's not like, so there are a lot of people who are just getting money paid by open source organizations because they have good enough working setting there, right? So they have been contributing there's a good amount of donation coming to the organization. The donation goes to paying the people who are contributing to the organization, right? So those kind of settings are there, but there are good chances that you might not find yourself working in that setting after some time, or there are people who do so, but not a lot of them. So you still want to get a job and maybe learn, use the knowledge that you gain out of GSoC or some similar experience into your job, which are building a product or something like that. You still want to be having a good professional profile when the recruiters are casually looking up. Uh, uh, Obviously, you can get referred by your network. That's a good enough thing. But yeah, recruiters are casually looking up. If you have a profile on LinkedIn, that certainly helps. Not to a great,
so
yeah,
like
yeah. You should make
no
it. Like I won't
okay.
advise you to not make it. It is certainly helpful.
So like a GitHub profile would be more have more weightage than a LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, if you have work to demonstrate, that is certainly more valuable than a place where you just show like these are things. Basically, you have worked with this and this organizations in the past or things like that. Obviously, that can hold a value to someone like a recruiter or thing which can know more, lot more about it. probably what will be the best is like make both profiles, link each one of them to each other, so that people can look at you from both angles, and your discoverability increases as you link your GitHub to your LinkedIn. Then people can quickly jump into your LinkedIn profile, GitHub profile, from your LinkedIn profile, and quickly check what are things you have been working on, what are things you already know, and that's a more demonstrable thing. But this is a more discoverable thing for recruiters. So they certainly hold importance. So won't advise you against making either one of them or not. So make both of them, link each of them in some way.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I have one more question. So, generally speaking, how do you like manage with burnout when you're learning new tech to keep your game up?
Yeah, so yeah, burnout is real. Like a lot of people might like, if you certainly, like even if you're like very deeply very deeply interested about a technology, even if you're learning for a certain great period of time, you tend to get frustrated. You sometimes feel like things are not working how they're supposed to. Things were so easy some time back, but now you are facing hard problems, and you want to kind of avoid hard problems for now. Help happened with me, happened I guess with a lot of people in that area. So for the matter, burnout is real. Don't feel like you are the only one who is facing it. Whenever you face burnout, I think you can find another activity. Probably what you can do is like, if there are other people who are, you can, there are certain ways which I have read, not implemented a lot of them, but you could, help other people who are working on the technology in their initial bits. So someone helped you when you were getting bootstrapped. You could mentor someone else, and so that's another good way where you can have healthy discussions with people, and you can resolve your burnout, because then you would be having an upper hand on things. You are certainly knowing better than the guy you are interacting with, and then obviously he knows some better things, and you can have a healthy conversation with the upper hand. So you are not stressing your mind too much when you are dealing with such a thing, and it kind of boosts your confidence about that thing, because you know that obviously at this point I know about this at least this much. I'm not completely useless. You get in burnout, you also get this feeling like, okay, I'm not able to grasp this. Was I even good enough to work on this thing? But when you guide someone else, you certainly know, okay, I at least know this much. This guy, I was at this position at certain point of time. So that's a good point where you can help someone grow and grow yourself, and deal with your burnout. That's great. One other thing is like, find another activity, like whatever interests you. Maybe games, maybe online gaming, maybe some piano lessons, whatever, reading books about leadership, or whatever interests you, normal fiction, watching series, whatever you feel like keeps you away from your channel work and helps you kind of have the time, where you can, after some time, when you come back to it again, you can think with a fresh mind. Yeah, those things certainly help. So I personally sometimes game, and dealt with it earlier by mentoring people out. Yeah, that's it.
No, like, so I got that. So, like, how do you like prep for burnout in the long run? So, for example, like, say you're into a particular tech sector, say like AI, ML, or something. Every day there's a new thing coming out. Like recently, GPT-3 released. So that's that.
Okay, yeah.
So,
It's
so
basically
how
you're
do you
feeling
like?
outdated.
Yeah. So like, how do you like cope with the amount of like new technology, new things that are being innovated, like invented, innovation is happening, and
Yeah.
how would
So
you
those
like
things.
cope with that? So to keep up with all of that.
Yeah. So first of all, it's not necessary to keep up with everything, right? Obviously, like, you probably want to know everything, which is like the best, like what is the latest and greatest thing you're working with. It's good to know that, and it certainly helps you grow as a person, and as a uh, you know someone who is like up to date in the technology. It certainly helps. But I really want to demonstrate, like, you don't need to know everything. So if there are new research papers coming out, you don't need to worry too much that you're getting out of it. Obviously, I will still recommend, it's like getting a time, like dedicating a time frame. So you can like say in the weekend I will dedicate this much time to know what new things are happening, and then probably learn something more about them. Uh, Maybe try it out a bit. Uh, just have if you find it interesting, like GPT is very interesting, right? I want to like just simply try it out a bit. Know like maybe this research a bit more on it. Maybe even if I'm too deep into it, I might even read research paper like how are they dealing with things. Uh, those kind of things. I think what really works best is like probably dedicate your time in your time frame and your time slots to deal with it, and don't stress too much that you don't know a lot of it. It's easy to get outdated, yes, but when you're not actually like dedicating any time to it, some time to know a little bit more things are is good enough, I would consider. And also, if you are feeling like this is a certain field that you're working with and this field has gone too bloated, or then you can certainly also devote some more time to explore other fields, because tech is ever increasing. You could be working on something new comes up which you think is the future. You can dedicate time slots, read more about it, learn more. um, that also, yeah. So I would just say dedicate time slots for these things, and deal with them in that time, and don't stress your mind too much that you are out of date with such things. If you are also, you can also follow some good YouTube channels or podcasts, which which tell you about such things uh, within time to time. And so you could be following some good channels which have good AI/ML content every week, which tells you what progress had been made. You can simply choose to ignore whatever is not you are not interested in at all, and focus on things which actually interest you. And I mean, in fact, if you something think you actually felt like it's not important, and then you really it made an impact sometime later. Um, it's not very like the world. If it's very new, then you still have time to grasp on it. So not a big deal. So burnout can be avoided like in that manner, in such a way.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thanks,
Pranjal, for the
thanks.
answer. Yeah. Thanks, Sagar. Yeah. Pranjal, even I wanted to ask you one thing. Like, as you grow as a software developer, like you tends to get, you tends to follow certain channels. Okay, you tends to like, okay, this guy speaks, tells me the tech very, top-notch tech, or a very specific way, in a very specific way. There is no bloatedness on that, something like that. So if you follow some those kind of resources, or have some person that you YouTube channel, or maybe some subreddit or something like that you have on top of your head, okay, this is the thing that I regularly follow, or yeah, if you would like to
Let's
share.
say, yeah, I should have had some things like that, but very openly, I don't really follow some things like very. So how I deal with things is like uh, I am like I'm usually keeping up to date by reading the uh, uh, upcoming. So for example, I'm deeply interested in Kotlin as a language, right? So what I will probably be doing is like I will be reading their uh, key proposals, what are new things which they're coming up with, what are the proposed implementations of those things. Those things I will be reading more than finding a channel which obviously at times when I'm searching things I find channels which, but I really don't subscribe, and I should maybe.
Hmm.
So I don't have subreddits or channels on top of my head, but there are good resources. Like for example, there is dev.to website, which has a lot of good articles which you can quickly subscribe and listen from time to time,
Hmm.
basically see from time to time. So that's there. There is, if you're interested in data science, there are medium publications like Towards Data Science. If you're interested in Android, there are medium publications like MindDocs. They have their good enough resources. Yeah, you. So whatever you are working on, probably you will find a good resource on that.
Hmm.
You can find what's popular within the community. So yeah, I really don't have very good things to recommend as of now. But yeah, when I was dealing with such things, I consulted few of them. But as I progressed, I dropped a few, not wasn't that
It-
easy one thing to recommend as of now. I don't have.
So it's more like if you get your hand dirty, you eventually get the find the right resource for you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
That's what
Yeah, makes sense.
I'm probably saying.
So I think people are done with the questions, and the questions that we have curated for you in the form of a slide. So we have those questions. So can you see the screen? Like I think the question right now
Yeah,
is
I can.
yeah, to how to clear high paying jobs during placement, or like even I wanted to add on onto this question, like if you want to if you can just tell us about the placement, like how you get into Headout, and what was the flow of the, like what kind of how it happened, like what kind of questions they asked you and how you take it ahead over there.
Yep. Cool. So clearing hyping junction business interview. So first of all, like there are two kind of companies. Like we all know, like a lot of companies are really just focusing if you know the basics well, so that you will be able to reach solutions faster. So a lot of people just simply discredit the whole data success and algorithm part and say, "Okay, this is completely useless. Probably I would be working on some API or some sort of thing. So why do I need to know a lot of about these algorithms and data structures when I probably won't be using them as of now?" Might make sense. Your job might be like that, but a lot of times when you are as you are growing within the organization, this knowledge of data structure algorithms certainly helps in solving certain set of problems, and so that's one part of knowledge. Second thing is they're not simply checking your data structure algorithm knowledge; they're also checking if you're able to reach reach to the solutions of the problems which are given to you. So they don't have a very good way. So earlier there were not a lot of a lot of places where you could look and find if person is worthy enough by looking at his background in other senses. The best and easiest way to do this was doing a data structure algorithms round, find if person has a good problem solving skill, and then shortlist candidates on basis of that, then take some interviews, and judge them on basis of that. One thing it helps in is like you probably have an equal ground. So everyone who has been through a CS course obviously experienced that in his lifetime, basically not his lifetime, in his coursework. So it's more like equal ground for everyone because everyone experienced that thing. So you can judge everyone on a similar manner on based on that knowledge. So people tend to use these as a medium. A lot of companies tend to use this medium. So if you are looking for high-paying jobs, clearly you should not completely disregard the importance of data structures and algorithms, because you certainly need them at certain point in your career when you are dealing with problems and you are becoming a good problem solver. When you are solving a lot of these competitive program problems online, you get this good dopamine effect feeling when you solve a problem and you get you get this solution accepted. You get a good vibe out of it, and then you find yourself very indulged in solving problems and finding solutions to them. So that becomes like your brain, your thing, like you want to find solutions to the problem. So I won't discredit that. So I will clearly say that the detection algorithms are important. You should know them. You clearly can do good without them, but I'll still recommend you to at least know the basics of things so that the code you're writing is good, right? Otherwise, the code you're writing might be good as a beginner, but you're not writing good code as you're progressing on things. So yeah, things like that could happen. So data algorithms should be clear if you're clearly looking for high-paying jobs. Other kind of companies are like who also look for your prior experiences, and if you have built enough things in your past, or basically you have this knack of solving problems or finding solutions to things, and not just by these competitive programming things, but by things like if you have made tools or problems that you faced, right? Did you make some some indie things like some extensions, some apps, some things which solve problem that you have, maybe hacked on your phone, developed some custom ROMs, or made some features that were valuable to people, or find tried to find solution to the problem, coded that solution, and then finally come up to this. There are certain set of companies which also look into that. Certainly, I was lucky that Headout falls in this category because I was not a great computer programmer per se. I was good, not great in that sense. So Headout was kind of thing which looked at both sides of the coin. If you have a good problem solving skills using data structures, but also if you have good experience. So the route of hiring that they had was through a hackathon where I built an extension for VS Code which you could use to do some things via voice assistant on your phone. So things which you find yourself using a lot of times. You have phone on your side and you find yourself typing a lot of keywords to do things which can or which involve multiple steps. Like for example, opening a project, then you probably have to type a keyword, then type the name of the project, find where basically where it's located, and then open it. You can automate some sort of those things by a voice command. So I was making that thing. The folks over there liked that project. I won like a second or third position at hackathon. I don't really remember what was third, I guess. Yeah, the whole thing being they what they were looking for is like you have a good problem solving skills, as well as you are also the kind of person who is motivated to solve those problems. Not just having skills is not important, but also it's important like you are applying those skills to solve some problems that you actually face in your real life or things like that, making some cool things out of them. So yeah, so there are two set of companies. If you are looking for a broad spectrum, they will definitely ask data structure algorithms. So that knowledge is a must. But standing out in terms of other candidates that know that well is building a good GitHub profile by contributing to open source and things like that. Because that is also a deciding factors in the coming up startups and things like that. So people are also crediting that because they found that people who had such backgrounds in the past actually turn out to be great engineers at certain point of time when they see them over a period of time. So yeah, so that certainly helps. People are realizing it wasn't that common a while ago. Now it's more common that people look into your GitHub profile. Also, not just your code chef or let's Spot profile where you are contributing. This is where you are just solving problems. So yeah, there are good set of companies, high paying, which are looking for both side of things. So if you are, you could probably do well just by this DS algorithm wala, part. But just to have the spectrum broad, you could contribute to open source and have a report there. Also, building network can help you get high-paying jobs, which you can build by contributing to open source. So that is also a thing.
Yeah, Pranjal, thanks for telling us this entire journey of yours. Like, yeah, referrals can definitely help. So yeah. So I think we have a next question from Piyush. So he wanted to ask, like, do certificates really matter, or it's just your profile, or profile in the sense he might be saying GitHub or LinkedIn or that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So certificates I find is like, except when you are in a corporate setting where they are actually looking for like, let's say certain job roles, mention AWS certified this, so and so and so and so. Generally, those certifications you tend to get when you are working with an organization. You tend to get those certifications when you are working with the organization. So the certifications that come before that, like what you get in colleges, let's say people are, I find I go to a lot of hackathons. People are really very concerned that obviously I attended a hackathon, I must have a certificate for it. Else, how will this experience count? I went to hackathon, I must have a certificate for this thing. I went to this and so workshop, I should have a certificate for this. Else, how will someone else know that I have a knowledge of this? Because, so first of all, I should make this very clear. Just because you attended a hackathon or a workshop doesn't mean you have certain experience. So most people, when they're looking at a profile, they throw the certificates into the trash bin whenever they see it. In fact, I would say it is counted as a negative as of now, because people, are you still the guy who still is valuing certificates? Then certainly you're not the right candidate. So more than the positive effect, they are kind of having a negative effect these days. So I would say don't rush for certificate. If you are so education is certainly helpful. So there could be courses on Udemy and all which are providing you certificate, but they are also helping you, master some particular things, and also providing you mentorship, which paid mentorship, which is helping you. And and also sometimes in some kind of certification programs, like for example, when you're doing some Udacity courses, you get a certificate that uh, is valuable in the sense that you can obviously learn things about that subject that you might not get the knowledge elsewhere in that structured manner. Certificates are certainly not useful in that manner. And one thing additional which you can get in such programs is like you can find peers which are working on the same project with you. You can build connections on top of that. So for example, you are working on a uh, Udacity certification course with React, and there's a Slack channel where they add you, and you can interact with more people who are working on similar things. Get introduced to more people, build your network on using that. You are more comfortable with your mentor. Your mentor might be able to, if you are good, you have a good background. Your mentor may be able to guide you later on. Might be able to refer you, things like that. But certificates for the safe certificates are useless. Please don't rush for them. And even if you are like, let's say you went to a hackathon, and I found people, seriously a crazy set of people who missed their trains because they could not get their certificates on time. I mean, that level of craziness just for the certificate, certainly no. Never do such a thing.
Yeah, actually, the sooner you like, okay, wait, I think someone's mic is on. Yeah. So yeah. So yeah, as you actually progress and as you like, get to know about all this, all these hackathons and all, there are a little kind of dark side of it. Like you just attend it for the sake of it, but you don't really get your hands dirty and you don't really earn anything. You just have the title, okay, I attended this hackathon and all, but you really didn't work out anything, or you didn't really learn the technology. So even those certificates won't matter, because when the interviewer will gonna ask you a question, you won't be able to answer.
Yeah.
Simple.
Exactly. Then the certificates, like even if first of all they have a negative effect, but as I really pointed out as of right now, your recruiter might even reject you because you have certificates on your profile, which are irrelevant certificates, especially like hackathon certificates. Even unless you won that hackathon and it was a reputed hackathon which you won. And even in that case, you are being more credited because you built a good solution. Just because you're in a hackathon, certificate for that, completely negative, I'll say.
True.
The only positive thing that it could have, like you have a knack of attending. So basically, you're not even dumb a student who doesn't even go to hackathons. That will be like even worst case scenario. So probably have an edge over those people, but certainly a negative prospect. So even if you get that, but you won't get far due to that certificate. So
okay, we have a question. We have a question like, okay, leave out the hackathon certificates. What about the the specialization courses that AWS offers or GCP offers, and even Google offers?
Yep. Yeah. So there's certain type of corporate jobs, which so for example, VMware might be looking for some guy who is already familiar with their technologies, right? He has kind of worked with them, or maybe took a certification course, which so basically they don't have to spend their time in teaching them the basics. But I would say a lot of times you can do this while, so a lot of companies will also be like who don't need this, so you can go for those side of companies. If a job really requires you to have a certificate and you have a good knowledge, or you are taking the certificate only for the sake of learning that thing, then you're most welcome to do that. It's no big deal, but your focus should be learning, not just to get certified for things like that. Obviously there might be needed for some roles, so that becomes a necessity there. So I won't say they are completely useless in the setting, but mostly they are.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, it makes sound. It makes sense. I think we have a next question. Sagar, can you shift the slide? Actually, it's a very kind of what should I say? Why open source? This question, like I think almost all the the first year, second year students that just coming into this environment, because like they might not have computer science at the at that level, and they just came into this environment of computer science and information science, and they were like,
Yep.
why open source? Would you like
Yep.
to comment on this?
Yeah. So first of all, a lot of software that you are using right now um, is due to the fact that the open source actually has shaped a lot of software landscape. If it would not have been open sourced, or you would not have open source software as a norm in the past, you might not have had Linux. A lot of things get that's just like the amount of things which are open source and they are a great value to people. uh, the number of things are immense, right? So if the so that's one part of it, which is like why open source software is necessary for software in itself. Then why open source as a student developer, which is the second part of it. Like why should indulge in open source when you're a student developer? That is because when you're a student, probably you won't get as much exposure as you would get by working in open source software projects, because these are real projects that people are really using. What you are making, let's say, as a hobby project, might not even be used by you after some time. You would find yourself finding like it's too silly at certain time. You'll find like, okay, I was making this, got some good knowledge out of this thing, but the idea was really silly. But open source things are generally good ideas that have been tried and tested. There are good reasons that they exist, and you can get good experience because not just you, a lot more other people are working on it. So you can get a lot more connections and things which I already have mentioned. The advantages which you get from GSoC are what you get from open source as well, because you are contributing to open source. But even if you rule out the monetary part, which the GSoC gets you, you will still have good connections and good set of knowledge that you have as of now, which would help you get applied to more uh, internship to companies which may be using closed source, which have the closed source, obviously, because there are intellectual property associated with that source, because you don't really want your competitor to be copying things that you have made with so much uh, which you have invested your time in making. You don't really want to do that. So a lot of things are closed source. That completely makes sense. Closed source is also a necessity in some environments. But yeah, open source, whatever can help a broader set of community, helps you grow as a developer. So if you are really being also like you're really being mean to yourself, even in that case you should do open source, because even for yourself it's very essential, and your survival as a software developer is also dependent on open source software that you're contributing to or are using as of now. So setting is a good practice to do.
Okay. Yeah. That's a kind of good answer. Okay. I think we have we'll take one last question from here. Like, is competitive coding really used in IT companies?
IT
What do you
companies, I
think?
think what
Yeah.
you're talking about, more like TCS. What kind of IT companies are you talking about? IT companies can include anything which is dealing with information technology. If you are present in the call, I will like really want you to
I,
broaden on this a bit, but
I
I
don't
will
think
divide
he's
it.
available on call. Yeah.
Okay, fine. I'll divide it into three sections. There's three set of companies. One set of companies which are service-based companies. One is product-based companies, which are like generally startups and all, right? In service-based companies, a lot of time you're just writing software, which is, you know, so first of all, competitive coding is not used anywhere. Because like competitive coding is just helping you grow your BS and algorithm knowledge, which is essential for coding better, right? But that level of code might not be required when you are working for a certain set of service-based companies, because generally the kind of people you have and the kind of software they are making, it doesn't really require you to have a lot of clear fundamentals about computer science, because you can still do good enough by knowing just the basics, and as you can learn more about them as you grow into your job. You eventually will learn things, but more on the data science front, not that much on the algorithm front, from my point of view. But yeah, you will still get a better hand if you know competitive coding, because you are pretty clear about things, so it helps you progress better in those companies. Okay. First of all, that gets out of the mind. Product-based companies, they're really looking for people who have good problem-solving skills. Competitive coding, I would point it out again, helps you. So at least in your first year of college, please do competitive coding. It helps you get your mind state. You really enjoy this process of solving problems, finding solutions to problems. So yeah, that's an essential skill. You are clear about basic data science algorithms that you might encounter when you are dealing with software later on. So yeah, I would advise anyone who is even if it's not used, it's essential to have. It might not be used, but there could be a day where you will find, okay, I learned this thing in so and so form, this is helping me out now. Okay, this might sound like this when you were in college, when you were in school, is you might be feeling like, okay, the set of peers that I have, they don't a lot of them might actually turn out to be taking the profession that their parent had. They might be having a business. You probably don't need even the linear, basically the basic algebra is fine, right? But the certain set of trigonometry and things that you're learning at a later point of time, they could be useless, right? There are certain set of people who are feeling like, okay, these are useless things. Why am I learning about them right now? But you certainly know that as an engineer, they have helped you, right? There are things that you could be making. For example, the basic trigonometry and the basic physics that you read in your 11th class, or in whenever, right? The linear motion, the kinematics, things like that, the fluid dynamics. You if you're, let's say, programming a game, you need to apply a lot of that knowledge into that game, right? Because games requires a lot of them. You're replicating a physical environment within the game, so all the physical properties that are there in the that you learned in physics actually apply there now, right? So the knowledge is not wasted. It could not be helpful to you right now, but you might actually want to do something where it could turn out to be immensely helpful. So just discrediting it because you think that whatever you are supposed to do might not involve it is bad, should not be done. In fact, whenever you're learning, don't simply say, okay, this is completely useless to me, I probably won't use it in future. Just take it as a critical angle. Certain set of knowledge you must be having might not be useful to you, but might be useful to someone who's within your group, who's taking better knowledge out of it, right? So yeah, you still would be having good school friends that you know that actually did not utilize any of that knowledge that they gained in school. They're probably managing a business that the father had, right? They learned the fundamentals of that business from them, and just took that profession and doing good enough with that. I don't really see that as a bad thing per se, but certainly a certain set of people in your class actually help from the knowledge that they gain from there. So yeah, mixed set of things there. In fact, I actually am very positive about the new education policy, which clear out this fundamentals of coding from the basic classes like 6th and 7th.
It's from 6th.
So yeah, it's really great because I at certain point of time I feel like this problem solving using coding is an essential skill that people might have. There are a certain set of jobs that could actually be useless. If you look at GPT-3, it already it's kind of gives you this idea of how things will turn out in future. A lot of people are worrying about a lot of content writing and things like that could be automated in such a nice manner that people cannot differentiate. It could pass Turing tests in those in that area. If you say not exactly Turing test, but yeah, you get the idea.
Designers are pretty afraid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's certain not so yeah. Obviously, the skill will still be valuable. Just that
this is like the way of doing it. Like it will just gonna act as an assistance. All these new technology.
Yeah, but a lot of manual jobs that are there, for example, labor jobs and all, they could be replaced by machines in near future. Yeah, so this is an essential skill. So if you are just discrediting it because I won't be using it, I will probably be developing an API which doesn't need that much computer skill. Obviously, if it's that simple, there are good chances that simple thing could be replaced by a automated thing in near future, and then you are useless at that time. So why not just make yourself skillful enough so that you are always in demand, right? So don't discredit.
Yeah, definitely it makes sense. Actually, even in my opinion, what I felt is like, people sometimes ask like, will AI will gonna, if because of AI, all the jobs will gonna finish or all, it's not like, something like that. So it's not like the jobs will gonna finish. So it's like, certain type of new jobs will gonna pop up and,
exactly.
These technology,
you should adapt yourself to those things.
So these technology like GPT-3 is like kind of trending right now. I wanted to ask your opinion on GPT-3, but that will gonna take a lot of time. I personally think so. So that will be maybe for the next session. So so these kind of things definitely can act as an assistive technology and make the things more automated. That's the whole purpose of coding. Okay. I think Sagar wants to ask you. Actually, we are done with the technical part and all this, GSoC and placement questions and all that. I just wanted to two more questions. Like Sagar wants to ask one, and I wanted to ask one. Sagar, if you want to go ahead.
So Anurag wanted to spice things up.
Yeah.
So a random question. What are your thoughts on pineapple pizza toppings? Do you like them or not?
Pineapple pizza topping, I actually haven't tried it as of now. I actually experiment with taste. So I'm not sure. I don't really like the idea. I actually don't even like the idea of people. When you go to this barbecue nation or Absolute Barbecue, the barbecue pineapples and things like that. I find that idea absurd. So I really don't know how it will feel on a pizza. But yeah, I'm open to trying it. Not sure if I like it or not.
So if we'll get some good restaurant, I think after COVID we can definitely go and check it out. Maybe in Bangalore we will definitely find it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I have a last question. So it's kind of since the Hack Club has started AMA, like Hack Club, like we are the official chapter of Hack Club Global. So they conduct regular AMAs, like the last Elon Musk they had on AMA. They had Tommy Dweck. He's a white hat hacker. So these kind of like Figma co-founder and all these kind of people they have for our AMA. They like the Zach, who is the founder of Hack Club. He just asked one question, and I wanted to ask you the same question. I want to see your reaction towards that question. So the question in such a way, okay, just imagine there are three parallel universes, three parallel Earths, okay. So, and you have all the knowledge that currently is on this planet, like currently, okay, the physics, the astro, the coding, you can make stuff. If we we are shifting you 2000 years earlier, so like something in around 280 or something, 280 or something around that, and all these Earths wants to start a fight with each other. They are on a verge of fight, like okay, these three Earths, they want to conquer each other, so they are on a verge of fight. So what do you think, like what the first innovation that you want to do over there? How will you going to prepare your Earth to defend it, or on an offensive front and as well as on the defensive front? Using the knowledge, because it's an intense question. Again, because you have all the knowledge, they are just honest people. How are you going to take things forward?
Yeah, I have all the knowledge, but it should be on the condition that I can take all this knowledge.
You definitely can take.
Because I definitely don't remember things.
Now you can't Google over there.
Obviously, definitely. I need to carry it in a storage, which is resilient to the fact that if I'm like going to that, it should not get destroyed in between, and I should be able to access it still. Yeah, but yeah, keeping all those things aside, I think um, electricity electricity was the one of the greatest inventions of so first of all, if they're in the Stone Age, I think that discovered fire, right? Stone Age comes after fire, right?
Yeah, yeah, they have discovered fire,
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah.
yeah. If it's that point of time, yeah, I'll probably introduce them to electricity, and this how to deal with basically this electricity, and how to trick your rocks into thinking.
Okay.
basically how to if you look at it, like the microchip is just a rock that you tricked into thinking, right?
So
So
you're
yeah,
definitely going towards the transistors, right? The basic
yeah.
building of
So
block of everything over here.
exactly. So electricity, when electricity will come, people will realize good enough uh, applications of it might turn out to be in very different direction, mostly in the similar direction that we have, but could be a different direction. But it's a very essential building block that people must know how to harness this, how to produce it, how are things working with it, and then also one other thing if you could take is like this knowledge of how to make computers by by
Patch up?
you have this knowledge that you could trick a talk into thinking.
Okay.
And yeah, people will actually benefit, I guess, a lot from that than anything else, if my mind goes right.
Yeah.
Counter question, what would you take? I just want
Uh, yeah, definitely. Actually, what I felt is like, okay, again, electricity is this is required. This is required. Electricity and communication, because if you are in a war, like the communication is the biggest asset. So
Yep.
without electricity, there can't be any communication. We can't throw pigeons over there. So yeah, communication, and I think I'm a huge fan of defense equipments and all the Kalashnikov, as you know, all this as AK-47 or something. So I would like to be the creator of it somewhere over there. Maybe not for the just offensive part. If we can,
Destruction.
yeah, not only for the we can defend ourselves. So maybe on that end, yeah. So actually, if wanted to, I wanted to
Yeah, I
tell
think people
you.
will eventually make firearms when they have electricity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really, but yep. So fun
So
thing then. That makes
yeah,
sense.
in a brief, I would like to tell like what Elon Musk had in their thought, and what Tommy just said, like he's a white hat hacker. He's like, I don't care, I'll just go over there and smoke weed. So and that I expected from Elon actually, but nevertheless, Elon said like he'll gonna again he was more into like he'll like again how the evolution happened, like he'll go with the wheel, and then gonna make the transportation easy, make the communication easy. Like he had that proper, that startup brain that wants to create a monopoly over there also. So yeah, never mind. Like too much troll of Elon. Okay.
Well, first of all, I think like if I'll go there with anything, there's a good chance that I'll get shot on sight. First sight. And then
okay.
they should be regretting it, but yeah, that's how.
They lost.
Well,
Yeah. So yeah, Pranjal, thanks. Like it's been around 2 hours, and yeah, thanks a lot for all the questions
yeah,
that you have
exactly.
answered. Yeah. Thanks a lot for all the questions that you have answered. Like I think people have got a great idea about the GSoC. Even on our Discord server, we try to tell them about all the GSoCs and in our resource booklets and all. Definitely, whatever you said, like whatever the resources you have mentioned, all these things we would like to share them on the Discord channel so that they can have they can read it out, because it's not just listening it from someone. When you start reading it on your own, you get the better perspective of things.
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, I think thanks a lot. You have been helping Hack Club since Hackabout, and it has this was our first AMA session. It went really great, I guess. Even we'll have some anonymous feedback. If there will be some spike up stuff, I'll forward it to you right away on WhatsApp. Okay. So yeah, it has been really great, and I think we can wrap it up. Thanks for joining. Thanks everyone for joining, and maybe we'll have maybe on some nice tech or something like that. Maybe Pranjal will be free in a couple of months or somewhere. Like we can have one more AMA with him. or somewhere.
Yeah,
Great guy.
definitely.
He's a great guy. Okay, thanks, Pranjal, for joining. I think we can wrap up this session. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thanks, Pranjal, for coming.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Thank
inviting
you.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bye.
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 Take care.